Hungry eyes in the DRK. The city was cold and quiet at night. Streetlights flickered above the empty road. Wind moved the trash on the ground. People had gone home. Shops were closed. But in a dark alley between two buildings, something moved. A woman was digging through a trash bin. Her hands were thin and shaking. Her clothes were old and dirty. Her face was covered by a hood. She looked like a homeless person. But she was not human. Her skin was pale blue under the moonlight. Her fingers were long and bony. Her eyes, glowing faint blue, searched the trash fast. She looked behind her again and again, scared someone might see her. A soft sound came from under her coat. A baby was crying, very low, very weak. The woman pulled her coat open a little. Inside, a small alien baby was wrapped in a dirty blanket. His skin was also blue, but very pale. His eyes were closed. He was hungry. The woman whispered in a language no human could understand. She found a piece of old bread in the trash. She sniffed it, tasted a corner, and then chewed it slowly. She chewed more and fed the baby from her mouth. The baby sucked the food weakly. He had no strength left. Then a sound. Footsteps. She froze. Her body tensed. Her eyes stared into the shadows. Someone was coming. She quickly closed her coat, hiding the baby, and stepped back into the darkest corner. A man appeared at the alley entrance. He was young, maybe 30. He wore a gray jacket and carried a small food bag in one hand. He had just finished his night shift at a warehouse. His name was Leo. He was a kind man, but his life was simple. He had no idea he was about to meet something different. Leo stopped. He looked around. He thought he saw something move in the shadows. "Hello?" he said. No answer. He squinted. A pair of glowing blue eyes stared back at him from the darkness. Not human, not an animal. He took a step back, nervous. His heart beat faster. Then he saw something else. A soft sound, a baby crying. His fear turned into confusion. He took a few careful steps closer. But the figure moved back into the darkness. He stopped. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, speaking gently. "Are you okay?" Still no answer. Then Leo did something strange. He slowly took his food bag and placed it on the ground. A sandwich, an apple, and a small bottle of water. He pushed the bag forward with his foot and stepped back. The blue eyes stayed still, watching. Leo raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's for you," he said. He waited for a few seconds, then slowly turned and walked away. He didn't look back. Minutes passed. The blue eyes blinked. Then, slowly, the woman stepped forward. She looked around again. No one. Carefully, she picked up the bag. She smelled the food. Her hands trembled. She opened the sandwich and broke it in half. One half went to the baby. The other she ate quickly. Her eyes closed for a second. Relief. Warm food after many days. But her eyes opened again, full of worry. She looked up at the alley entrance. The man was gone. The next night, Leo came again. He left food again, and again the blue eyes watched him. Slowly, they came a little closer. He started leaving notes with the food. "You don't have to hide. I saw your baby. Let me help. I don't tell anyone. Promise." The woman didn't understand the words, but she could feel his kindness, his calm, his silence. She didn't know why this human was helping her. She had been taught to fear them. Her people believed humans were dangerous, greedy, and cruel. But this man, he was different. She watched him from the shadows every night. He never tried to come too close, never called anyone. He just gave food, then left. For the first time in many weeks, she felt a small light of hope. But she knew this couldn't last. Humans were always watching. They had cameras. They had machines. They had soldiers. If they found her, They would take her child. They would take her. She had to stay hidden, but something inside her heart told her. Maybe this man could be trusted. Maybe. He was the key to saving her child. The baby cried softly again. She held him close and looked at the sky. The stars above were not hers, but maybe, just maybe, someone on this strange world could help her survive. It started raining. Thin drops fell from the sky, hitting the rooftops, the road, and the cold alley where she hid. The city looked the same, but something had changed. She was waiting. First time, the alien mother wasn't digging through trash. She stood behind a dumpster, still and alert, her glowing eyes focused on the entrance of the alley. Her baby slept quietly under her coat, breathing slow and shallow. The man. He was late tonight. Each minute felt longer than the last. Was he coming? Or had he changed his mind? Then, footsteps. Soft, careful steps on wet concrete. She didn't move. Only watched. Leo appeared, holding a small plastic bag in one hand and something else in the other, a large umbrella. He stopped just outside the alley and looked into the dark. He knew she was there. She always was. He slowly placed the food bag near the same spot as before. But this time, he didn't walk away. Instead, he bent down and placed something next to the food. It was a blanket. Dry, warm, clean. Then, he stood up and left. No words. No sound. Only rain. She waited until his footsteps disappeared into the distance. Then she stepped forward. Water dripped from her hood as she picked up the bag. She opened it. Fruit, bread, even a small juice box. But it was the blanket that made her stop. Her hands touched the fabric gently. It was soft, softer than anything she had ever held on this world. Carefully, she wrapped it around her child. The baby sighed in his sleep. A peaceful sound. That night, she didn't cry. The next evening, something unusual happened. Leo came early. This time, he brought a small flashlight and a notebook. He sat near the alley wall, not too close, but close enough. He didn't speak. He just opened the notebook and wrote something. Then he tore the page and placed it on the ground, held by a small rock. He placed the food beside it and waited. She was already watching from above. Yes, above. She had learned how to climb the fire escape. From the third floor of an abandoned building, she could watch the whole street. She saw him leave the note. She saw his face. He looked tired, but calm. After he left, she climbed down silently and picked up the note. She didn't understand human letters, but she stared at the writing for a long time. Something about it felt warm. She held it close to her chest. The baby was stronger now. The human food had helped. His eyes opened for longer. He reached out with his small hands. He even made tiny sounds. She smiled at him, a rare thing. For a moment, she forgot the fear, but then sirens in the distance. She pulled the baby close and disappeared into the dark again. 2 days later, Leo came with something different. A book. It was a children's book, full of simple pictures. He opened it and pointed to an apple. Apple, he said softly. He pointed to the picture of a woman, mother. Then he pointed to himself, Leo. He left the book behind. She waited till he was gone. Then she picked it up. She sat in the dark and flipped the pages. The baby touched the pictures. She tried to repeat the sounds in her own strange voice. La-oh. It was the first human word she said. That night, she dreamed of her home world. Her real name, her family, the trees with glowing leaves, and rivers of light. But that world was gone. She woke up and looked at the book again. Leo. Back in his small apartment, Leo stared at the notebook. He wrote, "She's not human, but she's a mother. She's scared, hiding, but she's not dangerous." He looked at the small photo he had taken from a distance, blurry, but enough to See the blue skin, the glowing eyes, the baby. He thought about going to someone, maybe a scientist, maybe the news, but he COULDN single quotes T. If the world saw her, they'd lock her in a lab. Take the child. Call her a threat. So he made a decision.
Would protect her whatever she was.
She was now his secret guest, but someone else had noticed. A man in a black jacket sat inside a parked car nearby. Watching Leo, taking pictures, he spoke into a small radio. I think we've got something. He's meeting someone. Possibly not. Human. On the other end, a cold voice replied, follow him. Don't let him know. The game had begun. And danger was getting closer. The first time their eyes met in daylight. It was only for 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds said everything. The city was waking up. Morning light touched the rooftops and traffic started to hum. Leo was walking to work as usual. Coffee. In one hand, backpack over his shoulder. Then he turned a corner. She was standing at the edge of the alley, not hiding. Not in full view either. Just there. The baby was in her arms, wrapped in the same blanket he had given her. For 3 long seconds, she looked directly into his eyes. He stopped walking. She didn't run. No words, just silence. But her eyes spoke. Thank you. Then she disappeared into the shadows again. Leo didn't go to work that day. He couldn't. His mind was full of questions. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why was she alone? And the biggest question, why did he feel so connected to her? He went home and pulled out a whiteboard from his closet. On it, he began drawing. A stick figure of a woman with glowing eyes. A baby. A ship. A crash. Maybe this was how she came here. But why Earth? And why now? He remembered her soft gaze, the sadness, the fear, and something else. Hope. He made a decision. That night, instead of food, he brought something different. A small box. Inside it, crayons, paper, and a mirror. He left it in the usual spot. Then he stepped back and waited. Not far this time. Just enough. Rain dripped from the roof. Minutes passed. Then she came. She looked at the box, then at him. Carefully, she opened it. She pulled out a red crayon and held it between her long fingers. She looked confused. Leo slowly picked up a blue crayon from his pocket and drew a circle on the wall behind him. She watched. Then she copied. A shaky red circle appeared on her side of the wall. Leo smiled. For the first time. She didn't step back. The next day, Leo came with more drawings. He showed her stick figures. Man, woman, child, eat, safe. She sat on the edge of a crate, the baby close to her chest, and watched him draw. Then she took a green crayon and drew something. A ship. Big, oval, floating. Then she drew fire. And a broken line. Crash. Leo's eyes widened. So he was right. She looked at him. Waiting. He drew Earth. Then pointed to her. Why here? She paused. Then, very slowly, she drew a planet with 2 moons. Then a dotted line like a path from that planet to Earth. Leo understood. They were traveling. Maybe escaping something. She touched the picture of the crash again. Her hand trembled. Tears formed in her eyes, but no sound came. Leo sat down beside her, quietly. He didn't speak. He just drew a small heart and pushed the crayon toward her. She looked at it, confused. Then, carefully, she drew one too. 2 hearts. One red, one blue. A silent conversation. That night, she took a risk. She followed him. From the rooftops, quiet like a shadow, she watched where he lived. A small apartment above a hardware shop. Simple. Lonely. She stayed hidden. But now she knew where to go if things got worse. And they were about to. Across the street, in a parked van, 2 men sat watching a screen. She came out again, one said. She's learning, the other whispered. Contact team? Not yet. We follow. The man, he's the key. They turned the camera back on Leo's building. The next night, Leo found something unexpected in the alley, a note. But not from him. It was written in shaky English, clearly copied letter by letter. Name ... Ira. He stared at it. So she had learned to write. Her name was Sarah. He whispered it to himself. Sarah? Then he heard a sound. She stepped out from the shadows, holding her baby. She came closer than ever before. Leo's heart pounded, but he stayed calm. He knelt down slowly, holding out his hand. Sarah looked at it. Her child looked up too, his bright eyes blinking slowly. Then, gently, she placed her hand over his. Warm, soft, different, but real. In that moment, they weren't man and alien. They were two parents, two souls, trying to protect the same thing. And while they shared silence in the alley, across town, a red light blinked on a government screen. Subject S11. Visual confirmation. A message flashed. Prepare to capture. She is not alone anymore. They were watching. But she could feel it before they ever moved. Sarah's senses were sharper than human eyes or ears. Something in the air had changed. The wind felt colder. The streets were quieter. And the silence wasn't peace, it was a warning. She pressed her child closer to her chest. He had started coughing again. The human food helped for a while, but now his energy was fading. His skin had turned too pale, too fast. She looked at the stars between the rooftops. Her people weren't coming. Not yet. And time was running out. Leo didn't know about the men in black coats. Not yet. He only knew that Sarah hadn't come to the alley in 2 days. That had never happened before. He left food. Left notes. Waited hours. Nothing. Worry grew like a storm in his chest. Was she gone? Did someone find her? Or worse, did she trust the wrong person? He didn't sleep that night. But the next morning, as the sun came up, he found something outside his door. Not food. Not a note. A small drawing. It was a picture of a man and woman holding hands. And beside them, a child with 2 hearts, one red, one blue. It was her. She was alive, and she was nearby. Sarah had moved to an old train station underground, abandoned, broken, and full of rats. But it had walls. And no cameras. She couldn't risk being seen anymore. The watchers were getting closer. She had seen a strange dot in the sky the night before. Not a star. Not a plane. A hunter drone. They were searching. She needed help, but not just food. Now she needed medicine. Alien medicine. And only one place in the whole city sold strange things like that. The black market beneath Sector 9. Leo had heard about it from an old mechanic at work. A secret place where anything could be bought, drugs, stolen tech, and things that didn't belong to Earth. He had never planned to go there. But now, he had no choice. He took all his savings, wore a hood, and entered the tunnels beneath the city. It smelled like metal, smoke, and danger. Strange people walked past him. Some looked human. Some didn't. He showed a picture. Sarah had drawn a small blue bottle with a glowing top. A man with silver eyes nodded and said, "Expensive." Leo didn't care. He paid everything he had. But as he left, someone followed him. That night, Leo ran through back streets, holding the glowing bottle close to his chest. He didn't go home. He went to the train station. He knocked once, then twice. Sarah opened the door, eyes wide, face full of fear, and then relief. He gave her the bottle. She cried for the first time in front of him. Not with sound, but with her eyes. Heavy tears. Pure emotion. She fed the baby 2 drops. They glowed for a second inside the child's mouth. Then the baby moved. And smiled. Leo sat down, his back to the cold wall. He smiled too. For once it felt like they were winning. But outside, danger was closing in. In a dark room far away, the agents reviewed a map. Subject S11 has changed location, one said. Her helper is active. He went to Sector 9. We have him on camera. A man in a military suit leaned forward. Enough waiting. Prepare the unit. Quiet capture, midnight. He looked at the screen. A blurry image of Leo's face. No mistakes. At the train station, Leo opened his bag and gave Sarah another gift, a walkie-talkie. He showed her how to use it. If something goes wrong, he said, pressing the button, call me. Just say my name. She nodded. Then, for the first time, she spoke clearly. Lay. Oh, his name. In her voice, it was the best sound he had ever heard. But behind the warmth, behind the tiny alien baby now breathing easier, behind the quiet, hope they both shared. A storm was coming, and it wouldn't knock. It would break down the door. The knock was soft, too soft for midnight, too soft to be a friend. Sarah froze. She had heard it just once. A light tap-tap at the edge of the old station's metal door. Not a sound a human would notice, but she noticed everything. She pressed the baby close to her chest. His breath was steady now, warm against her skin. The medicine Leo gave had worked. But the danger was not gone. She moved silently to the corner and pressed the button on the walkie-talkie. Her voice shook. But she remembered the word, Leo. Leo was already awake. He always was. These days. He picked up the walkie-talkie. I'm coming, he said. He didn't even put on shoes. Just grabbed his coat and ran into the night. But across the street, someone was watching. A neighbor. Quiet man with thick glasses. The same man who once borrowed Leo's toolbox. He saw Leo leave almost every night. He told himself, it's strange. He's helping someone. Then the doubt came. What if he's helping something? So he made a call to a number from an old ad that said, report non-human threats. Keep Earth safe. And the shadows answered. Leo reached the station in minutes. Sarah opened the door just a crack. Her eyes were wide. Fear had returned. Someone was here, she whispered. Leo checked around. No footprints. No sign of movement. But he believed her. She always knew before anyone else. He looked at the old metal roof. It had holes. They needed a better place. Somewhere safe. I'll find it, he said. We can't stay here, she nodded. Her hand trembled as it touched his. He didn't want to let go, but he had to move fast. The next day, Leo visited a friend, an old man named Marcus, who lived in the edge of the city. A retired builder, quiet and kind. He had an abandoned basement on his farm. No questions, Marcus said, when Leo asked to use it. I owe you one anyway. But when Leo left, Marcus picked up his phone. He didn't call the police. He called someone worse. Back in the station, Sarah packed everything. Her baby was stronger now, eyes open and alert. He looked at the world with quiet curiosity. Sarah looked at the last page of Leo's notebook, the one he gave her with pictures. On the final page he had drawn a sun, a tree, and a family holding hands. Under it, one word, home. She pressed her hand on the page. Yes, maybe Earth could be a home. Just maybe. Night came fast. Leo returned in a borrowed truck. Sarah wrapped herself and the baby in old blankets. They moved quickly through side streets and tunnels. No one followed. Or so they thought. The basement was dark but warm, clean. Hidden. Leo laid out supplies. Food, water, clothes, a heater. Sarah looked around with tired eyes. She sat down, holding her baby close. He was asleep again. Peaceful. Leo looked at her, then at the child. He had never asked her how old he was, or what he was called, but he didn't need to. They were just a family now. Strange, silent, and real. He smiled. She smiled back. That moment was the last safe breath they would take. Miles away, in a white van, a signal beeped. "We have them," said a voice. "How?" The man smiled coldly. Tracker was in the medicine bottle. He pressed a button. A red light blinked. "Full team, midnight, go quiet. Go fast." The betrayal was complete. Leo looked out the basement window. The stars were hidden tonight, just like them. But something felt wrong. His heart was heavy. His hands wouldn't stay still. He turned to Sierra. "We're not alone," he whispered. She nodded slowly. And then, a noise outside, a footstep. Too soft, too careful. Not Marcus. Leo pulled the walkie-talkie out of his coat and placed it in Sierra's hands. "If something happens," he said, "run. Use the tunnels." She looked at him, eyes full of emotion. "No, Leo, stay." He smiled, even though his fear grew. "I'll find you, I promise." Outside, black-clothed men moved. Like shadows, guns ready. A signal was sent. "Go." It was the kind of silence that comes before lightning. Heavy. Waiting. Too still. Inside the basement, Sierra held her child tightly. His tiny eyes were open, but he was quiet. He could feel it too. Something was wrong. Leo stood near the door. His heart pounded like a war drum. He didn't know where the danger was coming from. He just knew it was close. Then the lights flickered. A soft buzz ran through the walls. Then, nothing. Power gone. Sierra looked up sharply. Not fear, instinct. She moved fast, reaching into the bag Leo had brought earlier. From beneath the food, blankets, and books, she pulled out a small metallic device, oval-shaped, silver, with a crystal-like button at the center. Leo stared. "What's that?" he asked, breathless. Sierra looked at him. "Hope," she said. 2. Months ago, before the crash, Sierra had hidden one emergency signal device inside her escape pod. It was forbidden to use near Earth, but she had taken the risk. Now, it was her last chance. She pressed the button once. Nothing. The device blinked. Red. Not enough energy. She looked at Leo. "We need power." Leo ran to the corner where an old toolbox sat. He pulled out wires, batteries, and a dusty inverter. He wasn't a scientist, but he was a builder, a fixer. He began connecting the device to power. Sierra opened the window slightly. Outside, shadows were moving. Leo worked faster. Sparks flew. The device buzzed. Then, the crystal blinked. Green. He looked at her. "Try it." Sierra pressed the crystal again. This time the device glowed. A low hum filled the room, vibrating the walls above them. In the sky, unseen to humans, a beam of light shot up like a whisper through space. A call. A cry for rescue. Somewhere far beyond stars. Something heard it, but the signal wasn't silent. It triggered alarms in places Sierra didn't know existed, and it told the agents exactly where she was. Outside, black vans arrived. Soldiers surrounded the house, moving like wolves in the dark. Inside, Leo grabbed Sierra's hand. "You need to run, now." Sierra shook her head. "No, leave you." Leo pulled out the walkie-talkie and gave it to her again. "Take him," he said, pointing to her child. "Go through the back tunnel." She looked at him, eyes wide with pain. "You stay, you die." Leo smiled sadly. "Maybe, but if I don't, you all do." The basement door crashed open. Light flooded in. Leo stood in the center, hands up. The device still glowing behind him. A soldier shouted, "Down! Get on the ground!" Leo didn't move. He just said one word, "Run." Through the tunnel, Sierra moved fast. Her long legs carried her through dirt and pipes. Her child pressed to her chest, the walkie-talkie in her hand. Behind her, sounds of boots, yelling, one gunshot. She didn't turn back. She couldn't. She reached the surface, a cold field just outside the city. And then the ground trembled above the clouds. A hole opened, silent, beautiful. A ship appeared, massive, silver, glowing with soft blue light, not shaped like any human machine, not loud like jets. It just arrived, like a thought entering a dream. Humans didn't see it except for the ones chasing her. The soldiers froze. Some fell to their knees. From the ship, a beam of light touched the earth. Right where Sarah stood, she held her baby tightly, tears running down her face. She looked to the tunnel behind her. Leo didn't come. The beam lifted her slowly, and just like that, she was gone. In the basement, the device dimmed, smoke rose. The soldiers stepped over Leo, coughing. He was still breathing, but barely. One soldier looked at the half-burned machine. Another whispered, "We lost them." And far above Earth, the stars shifted. Sarah looked down from the ship's window. She held her baby, who now smiled in his sleep. She placed her hand on the glass and whispered, "Leo." In a small hospital 2 weeks later, Leo opened his eyes. His body ached. His memory was blurry, but in his coat pocket, untouched, was a single crayon drawing, a stick figure man, a woman with glowing eyes, and a child. Under it, one word: family. A child drew something strange on his classroom wall. It looked like a starship, but he called it Mama's Light. The teacher didn't understand. None of the children did. But one boy kept drawing it again and again. A circle in the sky, a blue beam, and always a man standing below it, waving goodbye. He said, "That's Leo, Mama told me." 2 months earlier, Leo woke up in a white hospital bed. His body hurt. His ribs were broken. His mind was foggy. At first, he remembered only the light, then the sounds, then her face. Sira. And her baby. Gone. Safe. But gone. The doctors didn't ask. Too many questions. A basement fire, they said. Lucky to be alive, they said. But Leo knew better. Some things weren't accidents. Some stories didn't fit in reports. He told no one, not because he was scared, but because the truth belonged to them now. After he left the hospital, Leo returned to the alley, the place where he first saw her, where glowing blue eyes looked back at him from the trash. The same place he found the first crayon drawing. Now the alley was empty, but on the wall, someone had left something new. A handprint, small, blue, pressed beside his own old drawing. Under it, written in careful English, "Letters, you saved us." Leo smiled. He pressed his hand beside it. 2 worlds. One memory. Time passed. People forgot about the news reports of lights in the sky. Government spokesmen called it weather experiments. Some videos leaked but were buried. Most just moved on. But in quiet corners of the world, some people whispered about a man who helped something not of this earth, not for reward, not for fame. Just because it was the right thing. In a hidden corner of the universe, a silver ship floated near a glowing moon. Inside, a young alien child took his first steps. He walked toward a large window and stared at the stars. Beside him stood his mother. Sira. Stronger now, no longer afraid. She placed her hand on his back and smiled. Then she took a small object from her robe, a tiny notebook. Inside, drawings, words, colors. Leo's book. The baby pointed at a picture inside. "Leo," he said. She nodded. "Yes, Leo." She didn't cry. She had done that already. Now, she remembered, and remembered deeply. Somewhere back on Earth, Leo sat on a bench outside a small school. He taught now. Just simple art to children. He handed crayons to quiet kids, told them to draw what they dreamed. He never said where his ideas came from, but sometimes he'd draw a tall woman with glowing eyes. a child with two hearts, and a ship shaped like a falling star. The kids would ask, "Is that a story?" Leo would smile and say, "No, that's family." And one night, years later, under a silent sky, a boy stood in a field looking up. His skin was soft blue. His eyes glowed faintly. Beside him, a woman stood, older now. Stronger. She held his hand. The stars twinkled. He pointed to a small, bright light moving across the sky. "Is that Earth?" he asked. Sierra nodded. Double quotes, "Yes. Will we ever go back?" She thought for a moment, then smiled gently. "We never really left," she said. "Part of us is still there, with him." The boy looked up and whispered, "Thank you, Leo." The wind carried the name into the stars, and for one quiet moment, it felt like he heard it.